Okay. So we've built the second part of our chair. So now we're going to start the structure. Here we're going to go corner to corner. Okay. Now if we just draw a vertical line here, we can actually take that all the way through the back to find the center, like that. Then turn that off, go back to this tool, change colors a little bit so it's easier to track. Let's go corner to corner, corner to corner, like that. And then just drag these all the way down, all the way down. Okay, so we're going to build off of quarters rather than eighths this time. Now, what's cool is like that's actually going to help us automatically because we're going to be able to see some places. We can see that back here that this is interacting here and this is interacting there, here and there. Okay, now we built this off of squares basically. You know, it might be a bit off, but that was the concept. So then if I just drag this over here and I drag this over there, boo, 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 boo. Dopey dope. Okay. And then I just can go boop, 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 boop. Okay. You go boop, 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 boop. Like that. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to find the thickness on the front face and on the other planes of the thickness. This is going to be structured out of wood. Okay. I like this. It kind of looks like a subway map. Okay. One of the greatest forms of design ever is like the New York City subway map, the London Tube map. Such great design. Okay, so I'm just gonna change colors and go with like a nice sort of like lavender. Okay, I can actually take this down in opacity. I can take this down in opacity. I can take this down in opacity. Okay, so then with our lavender, we're just gonna go corner to corner. Whoopsie, pardon me, wrong tool. Corner to corner, corner to corner. Then I have my central vertical axis. Okay, I have my horizontal axis. Look at that. It's almost right through that center mark back there. Corner to corner. Wee! Sorry, dork. Corner to corner, corner to corner, vertical, corner to corner, corner to corner, vertical. I don't know. When I look at that, I don't think that's gonna look like a really thick chair leg visually. So why don't we do quarters on the front, top, and back, and we'll do eighths on the side. So corner to corner, corner to corner, eighth. Corner to corner, corner to corner, eighth. I think that looks better visually. Okay, then I could go back to this layer that I was on before. Just redraw those 2/8 verticals. Turn that off. Sorry, I didn't do a very good job there. That's why I wasn't vertical. That's important, Vaughan. There we go. So on a chair that's a square, if the seat of the chair is a square, the footprint of the chair will be a square. Okay. So grab a new layer, orthogonal, orthogonal. That's going to give us this horizontal line here. Pull up here, pull up there. So now we have the width of the chair leg that way and this way. This actually should go up higher. So then back here, we didn't quite figure out where the corner to corner would be, so we need to do that. So it doesn't matter which little section you do it on, you can do it right here. Now we got our eighth. Pull that over there. So there's our little footprint right here. Here's our little footprint right here of the chair leg. So then we would just draw up, right? Draw up, draw up. And that would correlate up here. 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 So let me I'm gonna just trace everything I want to keep so that I can clarify this for you. So I'm kind of rushing here. This is kind of what we're after. So you can see basically what we just did was we created 4 chair legs in perspective to one another that are diminishing in size based on the perspective. It's not quite right. That goes like that. So remember, like everything you're doing, right? Like everything that you're learning, you're building awareness of. Just like when you're doing contour, you have to develop muscle memory. You're developing muscle memory here. You're figuring things out. This really helps if you've ever like done anything like woodwork. You know, if you've ever built a chair, then you know that a chair is made from wood and that the wood has dimensions and that they're going to line up. Okay. So when we teach in the classroom, one of this lesson that I have that I really like is everyone brings in a cardboard box and we work in groups to make three-dimensional letters. And then we draw the letters. And the idea is that like because you built the letters, you know that there are multiple sides and edges to each letter. And it helps you to understand how what you're putting together physically in the round is what you're drawing flat to represent the round. And that's kind of what we need to think about. So then we're going to go back to this idea. So now we need to draw the top of the seat. Okay, that's easy peasy. So I'm going to go to my layer that I have my legs on. And I'm going to add the top of the seat. Easy peasy. It's just orthogonal. Whoopsie, I'm on the eraser. Orthogonal, right? Orthogonal, orthogonal. I actually don't need all these other layers turned on. I can actually turn all of them off because I'm just here creating, connecting these orthogonals together. Except for where I made a really bad decision with something like here, which has thrown off some of my lines. So let's just correct those real quick. So where it's off is not the computer's fault, it's my fault. The computer was like, look, I keep telling you, you need to pay closer attention to those intersections. So that's a bit more like back there. And so that's human error right there. Okay. So then what I need to do is I need to assign a thickness to the seat. And so like, you know, we could divide the space, divide the space, divide the space. Okay. But instead, I want us to sort of continue to develop some of our other skills. And what I want you to do is I want you to look at this visual distance here. And I want you to assign that visual distance here. That's right, you're just gonna guess. Here, there, there. So then of course we could have the issues that we see here. We could say, okay, well, we could put this in here. And now this space here be the seat. Not a very comfortable chair. And again, there's a complexity here. How do you deal with that complexity? Well, you just need to think about it logically. If these legs are in a square, we know that those back legs need to line up. We know that this needs to line up. We know that this needs to line up. 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 We know that this needs to be wider than this. Okay. And that this here needs to be wider than that. And so that means that this space down here should correlate with the seat up there. So right now it's like a stool, so now we just need to make it a chair. Okay. Pretty simple. Just gonna make a new layer to make my life easier. Okay, and if we go back, we had the original height in one of our layers. Just find one of those layers. And then in your new layer, just going to copy that. I think this was the other side right here. Copy that. Copy that. Okay. Then if we just draw a line here and here, here and here, then we can say, okay, so like that is the face of that back. like that. It's not quite right yet. Because we're going to turn on that straight line tool, we need to, actually, I'm going to turn it off again. I'm going to erase this because it's going to be a little tiny difference. This is a horizontal line. It's a horizontal line. So think about like Legos, like, you know, like when you build with Legos, right? Like you're building everything out of like these rectangles, usually. You know, I come from sort of an older Lego generation where like, you know, basically there wasn't like the sets like they have now. You just brought like 80 Lego pieces and you built your own stuff. So like imagine building this out of Legos. What kind of Legos would you need? Now back here on the back, okay, we could definitely leave this here. In which case the back of the chair would fall back behind the legs. So this is, we can see this edge here, so that tells us that this is backwards. Or we could close that off, and if we did that, then it would be lined up like so. With the front, which actually would come all the way down to here. What? Okay. Questions? You will get better at it. It will come to you faster. It will make more. So we have a clean slate here, and I just pulled orthogonals from the corner of the page to our vanishing point. I'm actually just going to erase this little extra bit because I don't need it. And it'll help me to keep things less confusing. Okay, so first things first, all right. We want to take a glance here at the concept of what we're going to do. So we're going to do a road. It's like the classic road, okay? But I'm not going to worry first about the lines in the road, okay? First thing we're going to do is we're going to just think about the proportional relationship of our road to the sidewalk. Okay, so if we look at this road, depending on what we decide, if I made a little rectangle like this, then this would be quite a large road, perhaps 6 lanes, you know, and that would be a car. If instead I made a rectangle like this, let's say here, right? And this, by the way, is going up in space apparently. You know, and I put like an electric Hummer here, then now we can see that this is actually like a very small country road, and people have to park on the sidewalk so that other cars can get around. So the proportional relationship of the width of the road dictates to us sort of like the height of the curb, the width of the sidewalk, the height of the buildings. Like over here, these buildings would go off the page, right? But if we go back, if that's a lorry, then the buildings would be sort of like here, right? So, or if it's a lorry and it's a city, then maybe the buildings would be here. Who knows, right? So what we're thinking about is like, how wide is this to what we perceive as our road? So if we do like a 2-lane road, then we can perceive that this is a lane and this is a lane. Okay. So how wide would the curb be? So I'm going to make a choice based on my perception. Okay, I'm going to perceive that the curb is going to be about here. Might still be a bit too high, but we need to be able to see what we're doing as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to erase these lines so they're not confusing. Like so. We're going to come back to the lines down the middle of the road later. Okay. Now, for some of you, this would be very easy. For some of you, this will not be super easy. That's okay. We're just going to go along here. Okay. So I'm going to draw a horizontal line all the way over there. That gives me my point here. And now I have my point here. Easy peasy. I'm going to pull my orthogonal from those points down, down. Done and done. Okay. Now we're going to think about our perception of the height of the curb to what we think of with the sidewalk. So say this curb goes into the sidewalk, like whatever, 4 times. So we just say, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So somewhere around there, we can put in a line like here. Say, how's that look? How's that look, Professor Vaughan? I don't know. I think it looks good. Okay. We're going to go down to there. We're going to go over here and then down to there. Now you can see that we're working on a form of symmetry, and so that symmetry is going to make things easier, and that is what we are doing, and that is why we're doing it, because it's going to be easier. So I don't know. I think that space has given us a line here, and we're going to take that line. We're going to actually just draw. I'm going to change color so you can see. I'm going to draw a vertical line here. Here. Why aren't you working? Oy. There and there. Okay. So then, of course, if I drew a horizontal line here, they should meet. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is like in a perspective drawing or any drawing, if you want something to look really realistic, it's going to help if it falls off the page. Like if we ended the sidewalk exactly at the outside edge of our picture plane, it's not going to look super realistic. It's going to help us to understand and believe the space if stuff is falling out of the space. So we're going to let those fall out, and we're going to have this as our first, this is going to be our first little part of the sidewalk here. That one there, okay? So we want to find where the next line in the cement would go. It's important. We don't want to break anyone's back by stepping on the crack, right? So we know that it's going to go at an equal distance that will be measurable. Now we're going to just make this up. I'm going to take my guide tool here. I'm going to pull it down, okay? And I'm going to think about my distance in space that I created for that first sidewalk area. And I'm going to say, okay, when do I hit an angle that looks like it's gonna give me a believable diminishing space? I'm gonna go with an angle of 10. Okay, because if I pull this over here, you can see the angle of 10 degrees would give me something that would be ending beyond the picture plane, and I feel like that feels pretty good. So you're going to use that angle of 10 degrees. I'm just going to draw a line. Okay.
What's your
And then
guide tool?
it's the little ruler.
Yeah, mine doesn't show up like physically. It's just,
Are you on the desktop?
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's harder. Um, how to do it? You're going to have to just kind of give yourself a good sort of like, give yourself like a good reference here. I don't know what that would be. Honestly, let me just see if there's a window. It's
I
not.
think I figured it out. So you can use the other ruler that's right to the right of it, and then straighten it out. So
Oh, that sounds so helpful, and you keep dropping out.
oh, I can just repeat myself.
Okay.
So the ruler to the right of it that looks curved,
Uh-huh.
you can click on that, and
Uh-huh.
then straighten that ruler out. So there's like a midpoint. And then there's like a little rotate button, so you can use that one instead.
Just you mean like make it into a straight line?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that looks helpful.
Well, I can get it
Oh,
straight.
yeah. Well, I think what's helpful about that is that it does create like a crosshair. Here, check this out. Yeah, you can do the straight lines, but see, when you do that, when you take the circle and you push it all the way down into a flat line, then when you rotate it, you do get two
Oh,
crosshairs. That's a little easier.
that's nice.
Yeah, if you're with this one, then what you need to do is, you see, you would just move one of these. So say like that's the corner of my sidewalk, then I would just move this one down until it lines up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't move both of them. But then once it's locked in place, what's nice about this versus the guide on the iPad is then you can just move this up.
Mm-hmm.
And that will be perfect versus the iPad where sometimes it resets. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah. Can you go back to what you were showing us?
That?
Yeah.
Faith?
Um,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
So how do we find this next angle?
So I just created an angle of 10 degrees and the minus 10 degrees, and I just drew it from this point, that point there, where that line intersected with this height.
All right. Thank you.
So here we are, then I just made my height, and then from that line, I did a 10-degree angle. And then where it intersects, I'm just gonna do a horizontal line. There. Okay. And then I can pull straight down there. And then I can do all the way over here. Straight line there. Okay. I can take my guide, move it up, minus 10 degrees. Straight. Horizontal. So you can see now it's going to diminish at an even rate. How did I pick that angle? Y'all, again, I just said, what do I perceive to be the right angle? What feels good? Is that okay? I think it is. So much of drawing is perception. Now it does get a little annoying with the iPad, or I would gather any other touch screen, because like you need to be able to like rotate the ruler, but as you zoom in to see your lines, it gets more and more difficult to like grab that ruler. And then of course too, you can see like I might need to adjust the size of my tool so that I can get like a thinner line, so that the very thickness of the line doesn't take up all the space. And then if we zoom out, we can see that like we're basically not going to be able to see many more divisions. Okay. So then we can just kind of go through here and say, okay, they just need, we can just kind of basically, not that I ever should say this, but you can basically feel, you know, as far back as you can go. Okay. Cool. Now, we're gonna make a new layer. And then we're going to turn on the magnet. Turn off the magnet, I mean. Grab your corner to corner tool, your draw tool. We're gonna section this in half. Like so. Just that one. Sorry, completely just lied. You're gonna do this other one too. Here. So now we know the center of those two.
I don't see what you divided in half.
Just the, do you see it now?
Oh, on the sidewalk.
Yeah,
Yep, I didn't, okay, thank you.
you're welcome. Change colors maybe. Okay, now we're gonna pull with your magnetic tool a vertical line from here. Okay, now this is gonna be a building, so we need to think about how much of it, like how tall is it going to be? Okay. So I think that we should actually make it pretty, think about your proportional relationship to your sidewalk. So I think it should be like that. And then just drag that top orthogonal. Like that. I can increase my thickness, maybe that's what's up.
Can you go back a few steps?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay. So basically, I just wanted to build my building so that it was equal in a way to the first two pieces of sidewalk on the left. So I found the center, the first two sidewalk slabs. And where the center of the second sidewalk slab is, I then just drew the height of my building. And I'm thinking about the perception of the height and width of the sidewalk to what I think my building should be as a single story building. Again, that's just a Professor Vaughan decision. I'm just deciding. And then I just need the orthogonal for the top of the building. Okay. Then what we're going to do next is we're going to do the doorway, and we want the doorway to be half of the space of the sidewalk, that the first one that we found the center of, but we don't want it to be right in the on the left side or right side. We want it to be right in the middle. So guess what we're going to do, just for fun, is we're going to go corner to corner here, corner to corner there. Okay. And then that just gives us our horizontal line here. Hey, finally. And here. Okay, so now I have, like, even though visually it's diminishing, this part and this part are equal, even though it's diminishing. So I just divided the space into quarters, but of course, because of the perspective, the quarter in the back is smaller than the quarter in the front. So then we have to find the height of the door. Think about the width of a door to its height. What is a good relationship? Probably about there and there. I'd say a door is usually 2 by 8, so 1/4 on the bottom, 4 times above, kind of thing. And then just find the top of the door. We've definitely covered a lot of info today, so don't feel bad if it's not all quite there yet. That's okay. We're going to do one more step on our linear perspective, and then we're going to talk about your homework continuous line intuitive perspective. So let's just go ahead. Let's just give a thickness to the door. So make a decision on the bottom. How wide would the door be? Think about your perception of the height and width of the door. How wide would it be? How wide would the door frame be? I'm just going to draw it like that. Let's extend this line in there. Pull this line down. Straight line up. Horizontal line. Orthogonal. Easy peasy. But just might take some practice, which is 100% what we're here to do, right? We're here to fail. We're here to learn. I'm going to erase that because I made a mess of it. Struggling. There we go. Right. So there's our doorway. Okay. Bob's your uncle. I don't have an Uncle Bob, so I don't really know. That doesn't really apply to me. I have an Uncle Kevin. Yeah. Over in England, isn't he? Quite a lad, that one. All right. So let's talk about your homework. So go ahead, just chill out. Okay, you can upload this in a minute. Just don't lose it because we're going to use it again on Thursday. I'm just going to turn all these off and we're going to talk about your homework. Okay, so students want examples of this project. I'm not going to give you any. Okay, because I want you to just kind of, this is about feeling space. Okay, and I want you to feel the space and I want you to, I want it to be from you. So for your homework, you're going to focus on 1-point perspective spaces. Go away. And only 1 point. If it's 2-point, that means it has a corner. So like I might be looking at a room like this. That would be 2-point because there's a corner. I might be looking at a table like this because there's a corner. Don't want it. Okay, 1 point, 1 plane facing us in some capacity. Okay, so what you're going to do is basically continuous line, contour, gesture. So we're adding this word. It's an important word to add. Okay, it means faster. It means essence. When you flick somebody off, right, you give them the middle finger, it's a gesture. It says a lot. It is the essence of your feeling in that moment, right? Like you're saying a lot, you're signifying a lot. It is a gesture that is the essence of your emotion in that minute that you do that. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to find spaces where you can find a single vanishing point. How do you know it's a single vanishing point? Because again, you've got some faces of things that are facing you, and you're going to see receding lines. So for instance, in my kitchen has these very famously Seattle builder, I can't remember his name, but he built so many of these apartment buildings. And the kitchens all look the same. They have 2 sort of like cabinets here, and then they run down to the counters like that. Okay. I've seen it in so many apartments. Okay. So facing me, 1-point perspective. Okay. I want to keep my eye level somewhere around the center of the wall. I could be in a chair, could be lower. but I don't want to be looking down because that would be 3-point perspective. Okay. And so what you're going to do is really simple. You've done this so many times in different ways, but this is just happens to be the first time we've done it with space. You're going to start with a space, pick a corner. And you can see I'm doing contour, but you can see it's faster. And you're going to draw out from that corner. Keep your tool on the page the whole time. And feel the space. Where does this line go to back here on the wall? Where does this counter interact with this ledge? Where does this cabinet come out?
So are we making an actual point on the page, or are we interpreting where the point would be?
You're making, right, so you're doing intuitive perspective, like the Pompeians did.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep, it's definitely not linear. We're just feeling space. So you're gonna do this. You've got one group of drawings that is ballpoint pen. And another group of drawings which are, it says color pencil, but it can be color pencil, pencils, whatever. But I want some of them to be ballpoint pen and some of them to be pencil. And then the sheet outlines your time limits. Okay, it tells you like, do they all belong on one sheet or whatever? It's all on the handout that's online. Okay, and you're just basically going to search space with a faster contour line, creating a gesture. Okay, this is intuitive, which you should know from the Pompeian painting that you should have reviewed in your perspective website. Okay, this is not linear. No rulers, no vanishing points. Okay, feel the space. You will lose points if you use a ruler. Okay, nice and easy. Easy taking, like, think about what we're doing here, scope and sequence of my teaching. Okay, sequential. Contour, continuous line contour, more contour. Contour turns into perspective. Perspective is analyzed through contour. And so that's the sequence. The scope is helping you to use contour to understand pictorial space now. Okay. There is a process to the way that we are pushing through the quarter. You shouldn't need any sort of conversation right now about what continuous line contour looks like because you've already done it. Your question should be like, wait a second, so now I can go faster? That's your question. It's like, how fast do I go? Look at the time limits. When you hit the time limits, you just back off. Start a new drawing. Okay, questions? No? All right, so I will get this uploaded. As quickly as I can. Go ahead, please, and just embed your perspective that you've done so far.